This is Chuck Schaefer of HCM TV, and I am joined by Andrew Pearson, CEO of Patterson's Global Payroll. Andrew, thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Andrew, Patterson's is a unique company. You make payroll technology, you integrate other payroll technology, you deliver managed services. Let me start off our conversation by asking you to describe what it is the company does and how the company is unique.
Okay. Yeah, we are unique, and I think that's one of our clear advantages over the other people in our space and the way we can offer value to our customers. We are a company that serves multinationals with payroll management. We combine technologies and services into a combination which allows our customers to manage their payroll across multinational organizations. It's a globalizing world. There are very many companies who are growing through mergers and acquisitions, through organic investment. There's a lot of reconfiguration going on inside these companies, labor arbitrage inside of companies, people move around. And many of these companies have become overly complex, and we can help them simplify that complexity and reduce the very many varied and different ways that they have done payroll in the past into a more streamlined, consolidated way for the future.
Andrew, you work with a number of other recognized payroll technology companies. You work with SAP SuccessFactors and Workday and Workforce and NetSuite. What is the value of these relationships?
Well, the value to the customer is how I think about this, and I think it's a completeness of solution. If we take our partner Workday, for example, clearly a successful growing company, it has software capabilities in payroll, but only in North America. It has no services capabilities at all from the point of view of a managed service, which is a key part of the payroll environment, as we all know. So for a global solution for Workday and their clients to be complete, there's a missing piece, which is twofold. One, it's international aspects for payroll, countries outside of North America, and two, it's the managed services piece, the coordination and management of payroll on behalf of a customer. So we are essentially the processing piece in all of this. The other systems are the systems of record primarily, and a niche processing capability from the point of view of time and attendance.
You support companies in 160 countries. Can you share with me what are the global business trends that you are seeing that are having an impact on payroll technology?
I think there are a range. I mentioned one already, which is the internal labor arbitrage that we see inside of our customers. Another trend is the trend I think we all see in business and in our lives, which is the speed of business speeds up forever. So dealing with that complexity and bringing simplification, which is what we do to international payroll, I see that as a key trend, which is driving all of our technologies, not just payroll. And then I think people are always looking for competitiveness, and they're always looking for reduction in costs. And we can talk about the great things that process consolidation, simplification, the great inherent concepts that we have as a company that we share with our customers, but nobody does this unless they can save money.
One of the popular questions I get asked from business leaders is whether they should move to a managed payroll service or retain that expertise in-house. So for the business leader that's trying to evaluate and make that decision, what advice would you offer them?
I think you have to be agile, and you actually have to do both. And you have to move, if you will, the heavy lifting, the work, the processing, the detailed work that goes into any payroll management, internal or external, out to a managed service provider such as us. But you must also retain knowledge, specialisms in a small group of people to allow you to effectively manage that outsourced provider and fundamentally look after your own interests as an organization. It's your payroll. You have to approve it, so people in positions of authority and responsibility have to understand what that means and not just simply be a tick box. You can't outsource absolutely everything. You can outsource effort, but you can't outsource responsibility.
Cloud Pay is one of the early movers to put payroll processing in a software as a service model. Interestingly, we've seen other applications such as CRM, talent management, HCM, move to the cloud in a fairly predictable and fairly aggressive fashion. Payroll processing has been a bit slower in terms of adoption. Where do you think we are in terms of the market embracing payroll in the cloud or from a software as a service delivery?
Yeah, I see this as a slow revolution. Or an evolution, I suppose, but I hesitate to use the word evolution because it makes it sound too slow.
Right.
I think there are some dynamics to the payroll marketplace which cause it to move at a slower pace than some of the paces that we've seen. And the reason for that, I think, is historically the contracts that you sign with a payroll service provider have been relatively long. 3, 5, 7 years is the norm. So when you're looking at moving your payroll to a cloud-based solution such as CloudPay, you're probably looking at a number of countries whose contracts don't end unless you're prepared to pay some penalties for a number of years. So I think that's one factor. So we see this as a slow revolution. Today, and we believe in our research, there are around 30,000 multinationals on the planet with 1,000 or more people spread across 5, 10 or more countries. That's a large market. Mm-hmm. Fewer than 1,000 of those organizations have done anything with us or with other people who provide solutions in this space. So I think we're through the early adopters, and we're now beginning to see the mainstream of the market. So our growth rate is going up. Under the classic diffusion of innovation curve, you'll see that growth rate go up. And then we'll see the laggards come in 2015, 16 onwards. And I think when you get to 8 years out from here, it will have made that transformation. And that's probably twice the amount of time that CRM and some other markets take to make that transition. The other point I'd say is that it's a hard problem to solve. We've been doing this many years. There have been tens of millions of dollars of venture capital invested in our company. There'll be further investments to make in our company as we scale. It's a difficult, complex problem.
I echo your comment that there are certainly complexities with multinational and global payroll. What advice would you offer to the business leader that's about to implement or deploy a multinational payroll application?
I think there are 3 areas. The first is gain some advice, either internal or external, through a consultant to allow you to really hone the business case so you understand exactly what it is you're trying to achieve out of this. The second one would be to understand the organizational context and structure that you're either seeking to change or seeking to solidify. What I mean by that is not all customers are created equal, as I often say to our sales team. Is a customer ready to do this? The early adopters are prepared to, be on the bleeding edge to some extent because they want to achieve something very specific, a catalyst for change. We saw one of our very early customers integrate their global payroll as the first project in a whole range of organizational centralization projects. And when I asked why they chose payroll, the answer I received was, well, if we integrate and centralize payroll, the organization will really understand that we're serious about centralizing everything. So we wanted to do the most important thing first, to send a really clear and strong message. So that's a very early adopter leader type of approach. Not all companies will be that aggressive. But clearly, a solution for integration and process consolidation and cost reduction is predicated on some form of centralization or at least an organizational commitment to efficiency. And so if your organization is extremely federated with a lot of country-level leadership, country managers who are responsible for P&Ls, then you need to look at how the governance is going to work, what the service model is going to be to those organizations to get them on board. Because if you don't have a centralized culture or structure in the organization already, and you need that organizational buy-in from the different regions and divisions, you've got to go get that first. And therefore, you have to do essentially what our sales team does, which is share the value to our customers with your internal customers. So we see that the organizations that do a great job and do this quickly are already centralized. They have internal shared services centers. They have a mode and a culture of efficiency and centralization. And I think you have to look to either use that or to achieve that through the project. And the third area is related to the second, which is I see as organizational structural, and that's the pure cultural aspects, otherwise known in many organizations as politics. And you have to have a strong senior sponsor. It's a lot of work and a lot of people are involved. So if you have a mid-level manager trying to coordinate that across a global organization, that individual needs to have the support of senior executives right to the top of the organization, as in this case.
Well, with that advice, I think we're at a good break point to conclude our conversation. This is Chuck Schaefer. I've been joined by Andrew Pearson, CEO of Patterson's Global Payroll. Andrew, thank you very much for joining me today.
My pleasure. Thanks, Chuck.